Tonight we're going to test a theory I made a few videos ago about this DR350. I predicted that the reason it didn't run right is because the carburetor is either worn out or internally burnt. Last night I tried to start it to give you guys a reference of how it runs right now, but it didn't start. I've referred you to that previous video if you wanted to hear it run, but I thought I really want to get it running. So I took the carburetor apart, the old carburetor apart earlier today, and the reason it didn't start last night is because the needle valve that lets the fuel into the float bowl was stuck up in its seat. So I got it out of its seat so the gas could flow, put it all back together, and here's a clip of what happened when I tried to start it. Okay, I'm only going to try this once, and when it dies, I'm not making a second attempt. I want you guys to see and hear how it runs before the carburetor swap, but every time I try to kickstart it, it puts me at substantial risk for injury. I've learned this motorcycle is good at two things: accumulating DMV fees and backfiring really hard. I already hurt my ankle once today. So we'll see. Woo! And there it is. It has a habit of starting up and running decent for anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 seconds and then quitting, almost like it's running out of gas. It runs really fragile, but maybe we can change that. I feel really lucky that it started without objection.
I don't feel lucky because I just kicked one of those carburetors on the ground.
Yeah, I have a carburetor that's worth some money. I was thinking about selling on eBay. Now it is just a little bit more banged up.
It was an accident.
It's all right. Speaking of eBay, things worked out in my favor. My package arrived for the buyer who claimed that it wasn't delivered. So I got off easy, didn't have to refund the person.
Did he leave you any feedback?
No, and that's all right.
Yeah.
We're here at the carburetor station. This is the original carburetor with burnt to a crisp choke knob and idle adjustment. Right next to it is the one that Eric sent me. Has a beautiful, never on fire idle adjustment and choke knob.
This is not a carburetor channel.
This is almost ready to go back on the motorcycle except for the float bowl. The reason I left this off is because I wanted to show you something that I think might be the cause of the DR350 running just for a few seconds and then stopping. I'm not convinced, but you guys can give me your opinion. This is the float, hinge pin, and needle valve to the old carburetor. Number one, the hinge pin, which should look like this, is a modified nail. Just a little trim nail somebody cut the head off of to use as a hinge pin. This is a smaller diameter than what it should be, so there's more wiggle room for the float. Second of all, this needle valve, which the float pushes against up into the seat, this is what was stuck, doesn't have a little wire clip like it should. See the difference? The purpose of this clip is so that when this is all put together, when the float goes down, it will pull the needle valve down. It doesn't just rely on gravity or the flow of fuel to push it down. I don't know if this is really necessary, But I can picture in my mind somehow if there's positive pressure in the float bowl, I don't know why there would be, maybe without this clip, the needle valve could get stuck up in here. Like that. Even if the floats pulled down, it wouldn't force this down. Just an idea.
I think it could affect it.
I'll show you how this all fits together really quickly. I mean to keep this video short. It's Halloween night. Camera girl already did her trick-or-treating. I stayed here and worked on carburetors. See how loose that is?
I did not go trick-or-treating myself. I took children trick-or-treating. My son and niece gave me candy though, and I'm tickled about that.
They love you because you're a kind-hearted, friendly person. When this is all put together, it fits much tighter. I don't know why that pin doesn't go in all the way. Maybe it needs to go in from the other direction. Yeah. All right. Now we just need to put the float bowl on and put this on the motorcycle. The greatest thing about this new carburetor, other than the goodwill it has, because it was sent to me in generosity, is that the accelerator pump mechanism is intact. It didn't melt away. When the throttle is open, it activates this arm, which in turn activates this plunger and puts a little bit of extra fuel down the throat of the carburetor when you give it gas. It's missing on the Charbroil Special.
Yeah, let's get this on. I'm eager to see how it works.
Me too, but I'm also nervous.
Well, don't meet trouble halfway.
It's very easy to be confident in a theory that you don't have to test or that you can't test. And that's something I'll talk about while I put this together. You can hope that I put it together quickly. There's a concept that's really important to me that I hold in high regard, and that concept is to be careful who you trust, especially if they're an expert. Be careful of experts in fields where the subject matter can't be tested, or if the expert does not regularly test and prove what he purports to be an expert on. Does that make sense? Think about a landscaper or a plumber. A plumber is the best example. Every day, a plumber has to prove his expertise. He's a master of his craft, or he's not in business. If the plumber does not know the correct way to plumb, there's sewage on the floor.
Ew.
There's a flood. There's a leak. You get the idea.
Yep.
Every day, a plumber is held to a standard and he has to perform, or she has to perform. Mechanics are similar. Landscapers are similar. Electrical engineers are similar. If they don't design the circuit board right, it lets the smoke out. So I have respect for those people who prove their craft over and over again. They show you their expertise, and it is provable. Now consider space scientists, people that'll tell you how the sun works. They act very confident. They act very learned. in their profession. But I could do the same thing. I could probably tell you with conviction how the sun works, and you couldn't prove me wrong. Those guys and gals can't be proven wrong or right. So it's easy to be an expert in those fields, in my opinion. And there's also this idea that in certain fields, like history is another one. Things like space scientists, history people, and just books and academia in general sometimes aren't things that I look on most favorably. Be careful of this kickstand.
Thank you.
You could start a chain reaction if you kick that out.
You have already made this garage difficult to walk through.
That's a security measure. If we have a burglar, he will be noisy.
If we have a fire, we'll be in trouble.
The previous owners of this house were serious about security. If you look behind you...
Oh!
Oh! You're a lucky girl. If you look behind you here...
Oh, yeah.
We have the specialty zombie barricade brackets on either side of the door. You can put a 4x6 beam in there.
I hit my shoulder on one of those. It hurt.
If you put a beam in there, nobody is getting through that door. They'll just have to go through the window. So let's put this carburetor on. I know nothing about space scientists. Space science, that is. And I don't mean to diminish the profession if any of you guys watching are space scientists. But it bugs me a little bit when I hear people talk with conviction and authority like they know something about a galaxy. They discovered a new galaxy. Good, so did I.
Do you hear people talking about this often?
Constantly.
Constantly.
It's hard to do things when I talk because I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
And these videos are meant to be one take or very close to one take. I don't want to edit. I don't want to clip them down because for me, editing is a very slippery slope. I start and I can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop as far as editing. So it's kind of all or nothing, and it's a characteristic of mine. You can come over here. We'll be over here for a minute. I need to put the throttle cables together. And I'm trying some new things with videos. I've been doing videos for years, and there was a time when I was surprised how much money I made on YouTube considering how much work I put into the videos. It was not an efficient market. Now I'm surprised about how much money I make considering the effort I put in, except it's the opposite. It's how little money I make considering the effort. So I'm trying some new things. I'm tempted to do a video a day until I get to either 300,000 or 400,000 subscribers.
So if it goes down or up.
Well, the subscribers have been stagnating. I've been hovering right at 350 for a long time. And I figure if I just flood YouTube with my videos, it will show very quickly whether you guys like me, like us, or not. And if we get to 300,000, I may just quit altogether. So that's just an idea. I'll let you guys know if I decide to go for it, if we decide to go for it, because there is somebody else who has a say-so.
Who? So how close are we here?
Almost. Am I that captivating?
No, I'm just trying to plan my evening. I didn't finish making the cookies earlier.
I need to get this screw in the hole. Let's see if it is lined up. It is. Very lucky there. Something about the videos that I've never told you guys, but I will, because since there's no cuts, or very few cuts, I need to fill the space with some dialogue because I don't like silence. I don't like silence in videos. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
Something you've never told us.
Something I've never told you is that I am very stressed out lately whenever I do a video. Prior to the past few videos that we've done, this will be the third one in the same number of days. Prior to those videos, I had very little fun making the videos. I was stressed out when I made the videos because they were a production. They morphed into something that they weren't 10 years ago. I started out doing something like this, just talking to you guys. But then they turned into something else where I was just trying to put on a show and create a piece of art. Well, this isn't art, babe. It's just me and my babe working on machines doing what we do. And sometimes a joke comes to me. And that's just it. The videos we've done over the last 3 days have been pleasant. I'm not stressed. If you guys don't like it, you can turn it off. That's just the way it goes. There's a certain freedom in not making very much money doing what you do, because it really doesn't matter if you do it or not. When I started doing YouTube, I didn't make any money. Monetization wasn't even, it existed, but it wasn't common for YouTube people. I'm trying to get this hose clamp on. This is almost the last thing to do.
When you got monetized, you were pretty excited.
Yeah, I was.
That was cool.
That was 10 years ago. So Carburetor is attached to the motorcycle roughly 10 years ago. I don't have the date in my calendar. I'm nervous about this. See, imagine the people that talk about how they made the pyramids. Or the people that talk about those amazing stone structures down in Peru. Is that where they have the...
Oh, Easter Island? Those big heads?
Okay, Easter Island. People have their theories about that.
Those are amazing.
Right. But the people who are confident in that stuff, the people who will tell you about the pyramids and that they had nothing to do with spaceships or aliens or higher intelligence or technology beyond what we have today, the people that stick to the idea that many slaves dragged heavy stones across the sand, if those people were told tomorrow that there's a time machine and we're going to go back and see, they might be a little less confident. What I'm saying is, I respect people who prove their craft. Things you can touch. People that don't just do this. Like I'm doing. But I'm doing this too. There's a balance. And I don't know about the pyramids, obviously. I'm not a student of the pyramids. But I understand that nobody knows anything. Gas is on. Let's open up the garage door. See if it starts.
Do you want me to get a new battery?
Almost dead?
We're down to 1 bar.
If it starts flashing red, we'll shut it down, but we're almost finished.
All right.
I don't anticipate it running right because I haven't tuned the low-speed mixture screw. I just set it at about 2 turns out, and usually that screw, which fine-tunes the mixture of fuel and air at idle, needs to be adjusted when you install a new carburetor. So, how many kicks tonight?
Oh.
Don't be shy. You won't hurt my feelings.
I can't tell 2 or 3. I'll go with 3.
Then I'll go with 2. I'm feeling a certain good energy. So, bring this through. The way to start these larger displacement 4-strokes, I think this qualifies as a larger displacement 4-stroke. It's a 350. Is you bring it up to the compression stroke where you can feel the compression causing resistance against the kickstarter, and push just past that. And there's a little sweet spot right there. After you get to that point,
Uh-oh.
well, I'm still getting the kinks worked out of my personal microphone system. It's the wrong time for it to happen right now, but my audio recorder filled up. So I'm sorry about how poor the audio quality is for the remainder of the video, but there's no repeating what you're about to see. You bring the foot up and you kick. Ooh. That's one. The bike kicks back. Well, there it just quit.
It's so loud, I couldn't even hear you.
Well, hopefully my microphone will pick up some of that. You were just smiling and nodding.
Yeah.
It's a good policy with me. Hey. Now, come on now. That's pretty smooth. Thank you, Aaron.
It's after 9 o'clock. You should knock it off.
It's Halloween. Your monthly doesn't have a headline.
I know. I was just thinking that.
I will fine tune the carburetor, and then I will buy some paint stripper. We will clean this old gray blue paint off the gas tank, and I'm thinking that we will start making this into a running and riding motorcycle. I was thinking, you might be wondering why I'm even trying to fix up this motorcycle if I can't get a title for it, and if it has all those past due fees. The reason is, since it's a dirt bike, you don't need a title or registration unless you're going to ride it on a public place, like an off-highway vehicle park or up in the forest where there's rangers. If you have private property, or you want to go to a private motocross track, that would be funny, you don't need a title. As it sits, this is worth maybe, or Before the carburetor, it was worth maybe $400 or $500. Think about it. No brakes, doesn't run good, no fenders, bobtail. $400, $500. It's already worth $600, in my opinion. Put some fenders on it, get the brakes working. $900, easy. You know what I did? I decided to blur out the VIN numbers on the previous video. I missed one. The majority of the time editing that video was blurring out the VIN numbers, and I missed one. Luckily, a couple of you guys told me, and YouTube has a video editor itself where I can blur things. So I did blur out the VIN number. I think all the VIN numbers are blurred out. The only reason I care is because whoever buys this might not want to have the VIN number to their machine on my channel. It's for the next person. Thanks for watching.